Hi everyone and welcome back to the Colour Cave where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem. Today's video is a bit of an interesting one. If you haven't been party to the live streams, this will not make much sense to you, but we ended up in a rather strange conversation about having a whale, a shark and a mermaid inside a fridge. And that is what we're going to draw today. This is the last page in my sketchbook. That's my tester page, which was a whole video all of itself. I'll link the video to testing out this sketchbook if you're interested. This is the Artway Studio sketchbook. And yeah, it's served me relatively well, but it's time to finish off with a flourish. I always like to start strong and finish strong, and everything in the middle's just a mess. So I thought it would be nice today to try and make that rather bizarre picture into a reality. And I thought it would be nice just to add a splash of colour with the Derwent Pastel set. This came in a scroller box in February and I missed that video. I didn't actually do any art with it because I wasn't well, so I thought this would be a nice opportunity to pick this up and just maybe add some colour accents. I'm not sure we're going to go full colour because it depends how the drawing goes, because this is going to be complicated. But I am absolutely 100% confident that I can fit a whale, a shark and a mermaid inside a fridge. Let's get down to business. First of all, before I've come to this point, I did do a little bit of sketching and I sat outside this morning, although it's still April. It is very, very warm here, which is highly unusual for Scotland. But I sketched out a few ideas here, and this was just to get right in my mind whether or not I was physically capable of doing this, but also whether it was going to work or not. So I started up here with a basic sort of fridge outline, and then just went full hog to see how I was going to do this. And I figured it was going to be a fridge with a freezer drawer, or like an ice drawer that pulls out. And then I had to try and sketch some whale shapes because whales aren't something I've drawn. So I started off with a whale in like a sort of normal formation, and then a sort of squished up formation, and how that was going to be affected by a shark. And decided that our little mermaid is going to be hanging out in the cool box at the bottom, so I was trying to get shape there. Again, I don't draw human anatomy very often, so little practice there. And then here was my bigger sketch. So this is basically what I'm going to use the outline for the finished article. I'm not 100% confident here, but that is part of the challenge and part of the fun, and we're going to do it together. And I thought it would be nice for you to be with me on the last page of my sketchbook also. So first things first, we need to sketch our fridge out, and the door is going to be open so that we can see what's going on inside. So I have to bear that in mind when I'm setting this out. So I'll just want to get some basic dimensions going here. So if that is the actual fridge, the door's going to come to like here. That's maybe a bit steep of a line. Now we've got the icebox part on the bottom is obviously going to be out because our little mermaid friend needs, little mermaid, I didn't even do that intentionally. She needs to have somewhere to sit so we can see her. You know, she's not being crammed in there with the lid shut, although that would make a really funny picture as well, maybe just like a hand sticking out or a bit of her tail. That drawer seems very big for the size of this unit. Again, I can honestly say hand on heart, I've never drawn a refrigerator. This is a first. I kind of want it to have rounded corners, almost like the sort of retro, you know, the retro refrigerators. Or in the UK, there's a brand called Smeg. I don't know if you've got them where you live, but they do a really nice round top sort of retro style refrigerator, and it's very pretty. It's very expensive, but it's very pretty. I've got to remember that the door's going to be curved then as well, isn't it? Come on, Jem. There may or may not be shelves in here, and to be honest, I'm not that interested in putting in the details because we're not really paying attention to this part. This is not the important part. The important part is what's going on in here. Our shark's going to be down the bottom here, and his face is going to take up most of this space here, and we're really just going to see his part of his body coming out here, and then his tail's going to be like squished up against this part here. And then his main fin, which is obviously pointy, is then going to be jabbing our whale in the face because our whale's been squished in here too. And our whale, I'm thinking like a really big whale, and he's going to be all squashed in there, and his poor tail's going to be like, his body's just going to be rammed in. So maybe his tail's tucked in behind him a little bit, and at this point where it's poking in, the dorsal fin's going to poke into his flesh, and he's going to have his little face on, and he's going to be going, oh no. He's not going to be loving this situation either, let's be realistic. Especially if you're sharing a space with a rather large creature. So maybe he's got his grimace on. Oh no. And he's got his little eyes on as well. I'm sure there's an actual name for that. Right, okay, so we've got them sorted out, and our mermaid's going to be down here. Now this is going to provide the most challenge for me because, as I say, don't ever draw mermaids and don't draw humans. So I feel like she's going to be like in a poster girl pose. You'll notice as well, I'm not using a ruler, I'm doing this completely by eye. This is just what I do. If you're going to do something like a refrigerator that's square, by all means use a ruler. It's just not really in my nature to use a ruler. Whether that's an advantage or a disadvantage. Yeah, see, those lines are wrong. Those lines are wrong. I can hear something buzzing about. I've got the door open through in the sunroom. We do have a fly screen on it, but I can hear something buzzing about and it sounds like it's in the house. Our pet hedgehog has returned as well. We haven't seen him for ages and we were kind of worried that something had happened to him, and he was sauntering about the bottom lawn this morning minding his own business, so that's great. He's absolutely fine, and he's actually still sauntering about just now. Right, anyway, this is kind of complicated by the fact that it's only half a human. So I think her tail might be maybe hanging over the edge here. And I was going to say this is going to be out of water, but it's actually not going to be out of water because these guys wouldn't be on the go if the whole refrigerator wasn't underwater, if that makes sense. Someone was asking me about live streams the other day, as in someone that doesn't create any content for YouTube or anything, and they were asking me about live streams, and I said the one thing I've learned about live streams is don't plan anything, because you end up in the most bizarre places, especially when it comes to art. You know, if you have any audience participation, which is kind of the whole point of them, you end up in some very strange places indeed. I'm actually going to draw in here just so I can get the shape right, because that's going to be her bum and her hips. And she's going to have her head tipped back. And there's going to be hair there as well, obviously. There'll always be hair. It's really important that you sort of embrace things like this and try them. And for any of you, I mean, I know most of you watch, my other videos as well. And I'm really not scared to try things that I'm not used to, because that's the only way that you learn. This is really important. Now, see, I'm spending a lot of time on this. You can't even see this part of her because the drawer's there. But I'm doing this to try and teach myself. I feel like her tail is too long, but I'm not gonna make too much of a deal about that. Now, she's gonna have a bust of some description, and I don't think we'll be spending much time on hands here. I've got far too much going on to be worrying about anything so frivolous as hands. Her shoulders are going to look a bit janky here. But she's going to have her head tipped back. So really we want her centre line to be somewhere like there. I would like to know, for those of you that have drawn mermaids before, have any of you ever drawn a really voluptuous mermaid? A really curvy mermaid? Because I think that would be really good fun. And those are my kind of lines that I like to draw. Right, I'm feeling now that her tail's disproportionate to her hair, so I want to make her tail a lot bigger. I feel like that should balance each other out. Again, I don't know if that's actual mermaid anatomy, whether hair and tail are proportionate or not, but... Okay, what I'm going to do is take away this middle section now. So I felt like I had to draw that in. That was quite important to me there. I needed that step. I always think it's really interesting, see, when you're doing sketches like this, for me, it's very obvious the things I struggle with, because the things that I don't draw very often, I tend to do more layers and do more erasing, and the sketch ends up a lot darker. And you can see here that the pencil lines are a lot darker and thicker than everywhere else because I've repeatedly gone back in, and that's something that I need to work on, big style. Okay, I am quite happy with this as a sketch. I think I'm about as happy as I'm going to be. So I'm going to get rid of some of these excess lines that I didn't use because I wasn't very neat and tidy when I was doing this. But the thing is as well, though, being in the sketchbook, it's not as important to me to have everything really neat and tidy. I just wanted to draw a fun picture today. So I'm going to use a fine liner that I can rely on, that I know will stand up to a bit of water. So I'm going to use a Pigma Micron liner. And we're going to get a little bit of variation in here. So I have got a 01, which is a 0.2mm line width, so that's pretty tiny. But it's grey, it's not black. But I also have two black ones here as well. I've got the 02, which is a hang on. yeah, 0.3mm line, so it's only slightly thicker than the grey one. But I also have my favourite, which is the teeny tiny 003, which is actually a 0.15mm line width. So this is weeny, and this is just for details and things, and just to give us a bit more interest in the line weights as well. So because the fridge is not the star of the show, I'm going to use the grey liner on that. I feel that that is fitting. And I kind of want to keep a sort of sketchy style here, so I'm not going to have like loads of crisp lines. I really want the characters to stand out, so almost as if the artist, referring to myself in like the third person, almost like the fridge part was an afterthought. And I love the grey liner for this, it's just not quite as in your face. I did actually start thinking about fridge door hinges and stuff, and I realised I was getting carried away with myself. I have a tendency to micro-focus on details, and with a piece like this, it's really important that we don't do that, because really no one cares about the mechanics of the hinges of the fridge. They're more interested in what's going on in the fridge, which is the whole point of doing something like this. So I've kind of pulled myself away from that, but that's something, and I know there's people out there, I know you're out there, people that do tend to fixate on those kind of details, and you can get really stuck on that, and you end up not finishing a piece because you can't figure out this one piece, this one part, or you can't look at the rest of the image until you've got this one part ready. So I try really hard to get away from that, because I am guilty of that. And I found that it was actually holding me back. So I am very much still a work in progress with that, but I'm trying not to fixate on these sort of more minor details that actually don't have any bearing on your artwork. Okay, so here's the fun part. I'm going to use the thicker fine liner for the whale, that he's taking up a whole bunch of space in here. Whale tail's disappearing in there somewhere, and it's also coming up here. And here's the part where our shark friend has stuck his fin in. And I really want to get the eyes, so nice thick lines there. Okay, so onto the mermaid. For her outline, I am going to use the 0.2, but when it comes to her features and maybe some scales. What was it you guys called them? Feature scales. So not all the way. We don't want to spend ages doing all our scales. Feature scales. I'm sure that was the phrase that you guys used. This is why Jem doesn't draw hands. Oh, lordy. She does actually look as if she's just fallen out of the sky and dropped into that drawer though. But do you know what? I'll take it. I will take it. Okay, now for her face here, I'm going to grab the smaller one. And we are going to put in that beautiful little nose. I love it. Okay, let's erase some of our wayward pencil lines. Okay, so onto the ink tents. Now I've got this water brush here is a Derwent water brush, and it's the same as the one that's in this palette. I just haven't used this one because I've already got this one that's got water in it, so we'll just use that one. That's fine. And I just get this going on the back of my hand. I also have a scrap piece of paper beside me at all times, and that is so that I can wipe off any excess pigment on the paper, not on my hand when we're changing colours. Let's start with what we know, and I think I want to take some of this peach colour straight away. This sketchbook will take a little bit of water, not a lot, and immediately Jem goes outside the lines. Ever the consummate professional? I wonder if I can mop that up, or whether it's like the ink tents. Oh no, there we go. Let's clean it up. Yay, we can clean up. I do feel that I've not used these pastels at all. And I really like Derwent stuff. Again, most of you will have seen some sort of review of the Derwent things, the Derwent supplies that I've done. These feel quite chalky, which they're pastels, you know, maybe that's going to be a thing, but I don't think I'm enjoying these as much as the graphy tint ones and the ink tense ones. You can also attribute this to the paper that I'm using as well, because this is just my sketchbook. And while this sketchbook takes a little bit of most mediums, this may not be optimal. You can just see by the brush strokes I'm leaving there as well. This maybe isn't the best combination of supplies. But I'm not really here to review them, I'm just here to have a bit of fun and make a funny picture. So Let's try not to get into review mode, Gem, which I do very often and I don't realise I'm doing it, so I apologise for that. If the paper was a bit sturdier, I would probably wet the paper first, I think. I was kind of hoping to get a little bit of texture, etc., but I'm having to work fairly quickly with this. So I'm going to keep it in this kind of like rounded motion, again, really just to show that wheat is circular if wheat is a wheel. And you can also see as well that the Pigma Micron's absolutely not bothered at all by the water. Most fine liners now, you know, artist quality fine liners, they are waterproof. It's just really the drying time that varies between them in terms of at what point they will be waterproof. And I find that the Pigmas don't take long at all. But the downside to the Pigmas is that the tips are quite delicate on them and they seem to fray quite easily. So my second choice is the Unipin fine liners because they are more robust than the Pigma Microns. Okay, the top half of our shark, I've got this silver blue colour. So I've just deliberately gone over the top of his eyes there with the actual pigment, and it is quite milky. You know, I was saying about it feeling chalky. It's not all that transparent, slightly opaque. So I'm going to grab some lemon, and this is for our whale friend here. I kind of wanted that a bit less concentrated, but this is like, you know, this supply is completely new to me. This is the first time I've used these. So this is a bit of a learning curve, but again, this is why I'm quite happy in my sketchbook. Okay, for our mermaid, just trying to get the base colours down here and figure out what the hell I'm doing. See, it is pretty warm today, so this is going to evaporate fairly quickly, but just didn't want that much water. Now, I think I want a really watered out peach for her skin. We're going to make her like super pale for that to dry. So I'm not really any further forward here about what colour our fridge freezer is. I think it's going to have to be artichoke. Do you know that? I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to go for it. This is actually a really nice colour as well. Maybe just not for a refrigerator. So I want to cover the entire area. See, after all this is dry, I'm going to go back in and put some layers in to give us some shading, etc, etc. I'm not sure about the inside of the drawer, nor the recess that the drawer has come out of yet. I'm not convinced about what I'm doing with that, so I'm just going to leave that for now. I'm going to give our lovely mermaid some pink flamingo lips, because her lips seem to be the main feature here. It's very caricature, but I'm not going to shy away from it. Thankfully, this water brush has a really good point on it, so you can, as long as it's not spitting out too much water, which is the age-old problem with water brushes, let's face it, you can actually be fairly accurate here, fairly precise, and precision is the name of the game. So again, I'm going to use these brush strokes like I've used here, but that's more to get some hair texture for this gal. Okay, so I've been thinking while I've been going along here, and I think that I am going to take this artichoke colour and the recess in at the back here, so where the drawer has come out of, but you can still see that, yeah. I'm going to make that fairly dark, so really getting in there with the artichoke. My mermaid also looks as if she's got no armpits as well, I've just realised. Do mermaids have armpits? Do they grow hair in their armpits? Do they sweat through their armpits? Or do they not sweat at all because they're fish? All questions that can be answered down in the comments, please. So we're kind of lacking in contrasting colours here. Obviously this is meant to be a pastel palette, but we need some sort of contrast. So I'm using this storm grey as my shadow colour. So just while this is still wet, I want to mix that in there because I want that to look a little bit darker in there just so that it looks recessed, which I think we've managed fairly successfully there actually. I'm going to have a front on light source as well just to make things easy for myself. So every facet that faces this way will be slightly lighter. So the likes of here I can put down more artichoke on this side. The other thing I'm noticing as well is with these colours, is that they are drying a lot lighter than they're going down. So that's not good or bad, that's just something that you need to know about, because if you're trying to do things like this, you may think you've got it down to the desired depth by using layers, when in fact it's actually really pale. I'll do that up beside the door here as well. Now, along the top, well, if the light source is square on, technically the top edge is going to be dark as well, but I think I'm just going to leave that for the sake of aesthetics. That didn't go so well. Now, along this back edge as well, there may be some light that hits the top of this, but I think at the very back, you know, if the light source is more front facing, then perhaps this area. That back corner's too sharp as well. Who drew that? Goodness sake. There you go. So even that storm grey that we've used, it's paled out to practically nothing, which, okay, fine. I'm also trying to resist the overwhelming urge just to go and get some coloured pencils and do loads of shading with coloured pencils, because I'm trying not to revert to form. I want to be able to do a little bit of everything, but I think we're going to be able to lack, we're going to lack any sort of real definition here by layering, because everything seems to be really pale. Now, that pastels by default, you're going to get that, but it would be nice to have a little something something. So I think with the likes of the lavender, I'd be really tempted to take a little splodge of this cornflower blue, and just in at the back here while this is still wet, just splodge a little bit of that in. Okay, I feel marginally better about that. Not much, it has to be said, but I'm at the stage now where the paper's starting to go, Jem, come, what are you doing? Come on now, you know better. Maybe I should quit while I'm ahead. Right, I'm going to go back and grab some of this peach as well. And I just want to, like, under here. And I'm kind of thinking, like, how do I even do this? I just want to give her a bit of something. This is very difficult when you don't have a lot to work with in terms of contrast. I'll just be like, I can fix it with coloured pencils, if I fix it later. And yet the turquoise is like wallpaper paste, which I'm not really complaining about actually, because that's nice vivid colour. Really like some yellow in here. I don't think there would be a light in the icebox, but there is now. There is now. I may even just do the same in here. You know, as if the light's coming out the fridge when you open the door. Okay, I've decided I'm going to grab some coloured pencils, because I'm really not getting the depth or excitement that I was hoping for. And it just so happens right beside me here, I don't even have to get up. I have got a rather unorganised set of Faber-Castell Polychromos. Again, that will come as no shock to some of you, but I just feel like that I could sit and layer here all day, and I can't afford it on this paper. The paper is really buckled already, so we are going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. And weirdly, I have like an olive coloured pencil, chromium green opaque, and look, I couldn't have done that if I'd tried. That's amazing. I just want to get a little bit of texture in here, and you know, not anything spectacular, but I need this to be less flat, and I'll be a lot quicker doing it with pencil. Again, pencils are my thing, like that's going to be the way of it, but it's a really nice way, and a lot of watercolour artists as well do add in a little with some coloured pencil when they are finished their paintings. Maybe this is a slightly older, well, I would know if it's going to be this colour. Did any of you ever have the avocado bath suites? You know, the really dark green bath and sink? I remember that in my parents' house, and it was absolutely revolting. I kind of feel that this might be from the same era. So maybe it's a little bit older and, you know, maybe not in the best state of repair. And I've got dark sepia, that'll do beautifully. And we can get a nice shadow line under here as well. So this is the recess where the drawer fits into. Okay, so with our mermaid friend now. God, blue. This is weird. These pencils are literally just sitting out. Cobalt turquoise, you'll do. Is this dry? I don't even think I want to do some feature scales. I'll just, okay. Seeing as I'm here, instantly better. Can you see the difference that texture makes though? And it's literally a couple of pencil flicks. It is nothing difficult. I'm just trying to follow the lines that I've put down for myself, because that would be kind of handy. there's no point in slaving away with a supply if you're not getting anywhere with it. And I didn't expect to have a great amount of contrast, but we need contrast in our image because that's what makes bits pop out and bits not pop out. So with our whale here and our shark, for example, they're just kind of like, oh, whereas her little mermaid friend, she seems to be a bit more like, ooh, out in the foreground now, which is really nice. I do want to find a dark cinnamon. Yeah, cinnamon, why not? I need to get some definition in her face here because this is kind of irritating me a little bit. Nothing crazy, but she just needs a little bit going on. And saying she's going to have even if she doesn't have actual armpits, she has bits under her arm which are going to be a slightly different colour to the skin on her, you know, her anywhere else for that matter. Right, as for our whale friend here, I need a really nice blue, halo blue reddish. That's too purple. Oh no, yeah, okay. So just by outlining them in the fridge here, we're just kind of highlighting how kind of squished in our whale friend is here. And again, just want to keep that curvature going. But we can fade these out and make these less obvious. I'm struggling on the paper now. The pencil's not going down particularly well on the paper. And again, it's just because I've kind of hammered it with water. So I really don't want to make things worse here right now, but kind of headed in that direction. Got a warm grey too here. Just a couple of lines, nothing crazy. I've got cold grey 4. That's a good guess. And I'm going to use this for our shark. Now this part in here is kind of like in the background, so I'm going to take the pencil over that entire area. It's not particularly happy about going down on top of the pastel, which again I kind of expected. But this is an adventure. This is not how I expected to spend the last page of my sketchbook, but I'm having fun here, so. And again in here, where this fin's coming out, this is going to be fairly dark in at the body part, and then we'll ease that off. With under here, it'd actually be darker under here because this nose protrudes forward. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there. I suppose a picture like this has its own sort of charm. In no way meant to be a finished art piece, but just a bit of fun. And today's date, okay. So, not only have I proved that you can fit a whale, a shark and a mermaid in a fridge, but I just want to reiterate, and I do this quite a lot, art doesn't have to be serious, it doesn't have to be long, slow and methodical. Sometimes it's good just to get out there and basically brain fart onto a bit of paper and try and make something that is acceptable to the human eye. Obviously, these are not to scale. One's a mythical creature and they're inside a household appliance. But in terms of actually drawing a picture, I've done it and it works and it's okay. So, you know, maybe I could, you know, work on this and refine it and make it better. But it's good to just give yourself that little brain exercise every now and then. So for those of you that were in the live stream, I hope you are satisfied with this. And for the rest of you, I hope it's given you a bit of a chuckle and maybe inspired you to draw something slightly more obscure, or even try out some of these supplies like the Polychromos pencils or the Derwent Pastel paint set as well. That is it for today, guys. I want to thank you very much for watching. This has been epic. I have had this sketchbook for a very long time because I have not been using sketchbooks as much recently because I've been painting more, and much as this has served me well, I am looking forward to closing the book literally and starting a fresh chapter in a new sketchbook. When I do my new sketchbook video, I am going to talk about different types of paper and sketchbooks as well, so you can look forward to that in the not too distant future. So have a great day everyone, please stay safe, take care of each other, and I will see you back in the cave on Sunday for another video. So have a great day everyone, and bye bye for now.